Hello, everybody. I am William del Pilar, and I am your host of Fired Up Conservative Talk, your last Friday night that we will be in this time slot. And what's on tap for tonight's show? What do spying on senators, indicting Trump critics, and CBS chaos have in common? Well, Jack Smith's DOJ spied on GOP lawmakers. Now it's blowing up into disbarment demands. John Bolton indicted for leaking classified intel. And that's just the start. Barry Weiss shakes up CBS from the inside. H-1B hikes force firms to hire Americans first. Pulls back President Trump's cartel boat strikes. Kaboom, you go. And SCOTUS boosts election integrity. The decision is not in yet, but things are looking pretty good. And Biden's OSHA caught hiding vaccine injury data. That's right. And a BLM activist just got nailed for stealing aid funds. Well, not just got nailed, but she's been nailed. And the deep state's mask is slipping, and America's punching back. From cover-ups to comebacks, this is the reckoning. It's been a pretty good year for conservatives. But before we begin, do not forget to bookmark grumblingsmedia.com. Follow us on YouTube, Rumble, Apple, Spotify, Pandora under the handle Grumblings Media. And let me bring my co-host on because I'm sure he's probably thinking, what, Friday, last night? And I'll break that down for everybody. You know what I just realized? Boom, I like our little background there. Hey, G-Man. Holy mackerel. Look at the G-Man. He looks like he either just got up or he's going to be auditioning for the next Brawny Towel commercial there, the Hindu version.
Well, this is my look when I wiretap you while listening to your monologue. Apparently, that's under the Biden and Obama administration, that's fine to do. So I was wiretapping you the last 2 minutes listening to you.
So how have you been? Why are you looking so rough, brother?
I just wanted a new look. Just, this is my last hurrah. Who knows?
It's funny you say that. I told the better half, I go, babe, I think I want to grow the hair out again. Pre-COVID style. Yeah.
Well, the last time I had this was right around the 9/11 tragedy, and I shaved clean after that because I just wanted to not look suspicious. It was a thing back then. So
no, I get you. Well, to the audience, real quick, what we're going to be moving this show to Thursdays. I made that decision. If you're a libertarian, we've kind of split up in a good way. We're two completely different audiences, so we kind of felt that was a good move to make. And so I'm going to take the Thursday slot we had for them because as a workaholic, Fridays are really great for that. And I'm really researching pretty hard. Hey, what time slots are best? But the best way to research it is to actually try it. So I'm going to go up against Thursday Night Football, but we're the better show.
Well, I think halftime is around that time anyway. So.
There you go. So next week, we will be doing this show on Thursday. Same time, same bat channel, same kapow, bam. And we're going to have Rhodes Scholar and constitutional lawyer and not entrepreneur, but investment or investor, Randy Burholtz on, former California secretary chair. And he always brings his good points. Now, he's a passionate guy, G. Boy, I'm like, whoa, you're getting down there like a working guy there. I was expecting the intellectual lawyer. He's like, bam. So he's enjoying the season we're having here this year. So with that, G, to everybody, make sure you hit like, you hit subscribe at YouTube, at Rumble, wherever you listen to us. And make sure you like and share this podcast. So let's get right into it, G. Our first topic is Jack Smith. Jack Smith's team, as we all know, obtained phone records from phone companies on Republican lawmakers during the Biden administration. And that's obviously got an investigation that's going to begin and get rolling. And critics say that this amounts to unconstitutional surveillance. And this is all tied to the 2020 election probe. And I agree. It was pretty flimsy, and why he did it, it sounds pretty. I don't want to say it sounds pretty nefarious, but with 2020, J6 being the excuse, et cetera, which we are finding out J6 is pretty much a nothing burger. So the scandal deepens as the Trump administration also targets former critics like John Bolton with indictments. And we already have James Comey, Letitia James. The key here that you need to understand when they try to when Democrats try to sit there and say, well, this is political retribution. I thought they weren't going after Trump. I thought the evidence was clear, but we know there was no evidence. Most of those cases have been thrown out. On the flip side, Trump's DOJ has evidence. So this is a dramatic shift in DOJ priorities, and it's raising alarms with Jack Smith over weaponized justice. You know, when I do my research, I try to be neutral, but this doesn't raise any alarms. The DOJ has been weaponized since Obama's term. And then, even before then, it was weaponized for over 40 years under Edgar J. Hoover's term. And, I got to be honest, G, I would think that a transgender, the LGBTQ plus, would have a statue of Edgar somewhere with his penchant for liking dresses. And then, on the side note, isn't that something? One of the toughest, the guy who built the FBI into what it was with Elliot, that's all this stuff. He's going to always be known first and foremost as a cross-dresser. Anyway, fallout includes demands for testimony from Jack Smith and his team, disbarment, which I believe he should be disbarred, and a reckoning over separation of powers. So trust in federal institutions is on the line here. No, it's not. That trust was thrown out the window decades ago. But the stakes for political fairness, though, those couldn't be higher. So what's your thought on this from the perspective, FBI Director Kash Patel last week talked about it. And for the audience, this was Arctic frost. We covered Arctic frost very briefly when we talked about the Hillary, the email. We covered that very briefly, but this was in 2022. And then the subpoenas were issued in 2023 to telecom companies. What's your thought on this? There were 8 senators, I think one Congressman, Representative Mike Kelly out of Pennsylvania, that were being spied on.
Well, so this is tied to the J6 investigation. So you would think, okay, well, maybe there is cause to say, okay, well, if this was an insurrection, let's try to figure out who was behind it and all that, right? Here's the thing. They just call it an insurrection. Those guys that went into the Capitol building, they came with flags. That's the poorest planned insurrection ever in history, right? Like, usually you want to bring arms and grenade launchers and RPGs, but they came with flags. So they labeled it insurrection so that they have probable cause to start to do this kind of stuff. And so if you rewind back to 2016, Obama did the same thing, saying, well, our election integrity is in question now because Putin hacked the election, or he was making references to such things. I think Hillary did that before the actual election, and they were spying on the Trump campaign because of that. And so it is a sense of like, I don't know if false flag is the right word, because false flag is to gin up, popular American support, and all this was done underneath the covers.
Right.
But it's a similar type of idea, like find one little hook, and then you can say, okay, I got you. Now I'm just going to wiretap all you guys and try to figure out what's going on. It's corrupt. It's lame, and I'm glad that Kash is really diving into this and bringing it to light, because look, like in the future, if we didn't bring this to light, it will get worse and worse and worse. Obama started with it, and then Biden, and then who's the next Democrat president who will take that playbook?
Exactly.
It me.
Exactly. I listened to this one podcast. I forget the name of it, All Things In or something. And there's a couple of lefties on there. And then David Sachs, the president czar. And I got mad at Sachs because there was the Democrat just flat out lying, and J6 and the beating of those policemen. Blah, 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 blah. Then he turned around talking about ICE and the violence that these ICE officers are bringing. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he was pretty much saying. If not directly, he was implying. And I'm like, you're a moron. You're a bigot. You're one of the worst excuses for a human being right now at this moment, because you're letting your ideological beliefs lie. as G just said, there was no insurrection. And with over 200 agents in the field, is that what it was, or was it 20 something? I can't
I
remember.
thought it was 20 something, but
Yeah,
yeah.
20 something agents in the field. And Ray Epps gets a slap up. This nothing happens to Ray Epps, the guy who's in every picture. Come on down, folks. Let's go on in. It's clearly an op done by the government. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist neither, but the evidence is starting to become obvious. So it sickens me when people just want to continually lie. It's like somebody the other day, and that drunk Pete Hegseth. I'm like, that drunk, that was from anonymous sources, and you're running with it. To me, it's like you're showing who you are, a TDS bigot, because you're willing to lie and demean somebody. But heaven help you if somebody says something about your kid, your daughter, your parents, So this hypocrisy really irks me. And I guess the reason I'm getting all amped up here is we had the evidence here. So I'm tired of them saying it's political retribution. I mean, Jack Smith, I think, is calling it a fishing expedition. And Jamie Raskin, he's a guy who had brain cancer. Everybody gave their heart to him. Hey, how can I help this? Now he wishes death on Republicans, literally. And he lies everything. He's poo-pooing this, But when it was Russia, he was pushing that lie like there was no tomorrow. We have some vile people in Congress, G. I mean, this is why we need term limits.
Right.
I mean,
So, and
AOC.
just think about what would the Democrats say? Like, oh yeah, well, it's great to root out the shine the light on the cockroaches and root out the corruption. No, of course they're going to say you're doing lawfare against us and persecuting us. Of course they're going to say that. And I hope this is. I mean, is it political retribution? Yes, they did it to Trump. So now he's going to say, I'm going to get back at you guys. But think in the first term. Remember when Hillary said, I'm glad that someone with the temperament like Trump is not president of the United States. And he put the mic to his mouth and said, because you'd be in jail. But once he
Exactly.
got elected, he's like, look, we don't need to play like that. And so he just let the whole Hillary email scandal go. So now he's like, no, this is the way they play. I'm gonna return the favor and root out the corruption.
Exactly. And let's not sugarcoat this, people. Senator Ron Johnson reminded us, him and Bill Haggerty, this wasn't the first surveillance under a Democrat led administration. Obama used the FISA warrants to surveil Carter Page, deployed an informant to meet with Trump advisors, and he relied on the unverified Steele dossier. And if you criticize Obama, well, you're a racist. No, we're not. The data's there. The man's a liar. I'm not sure who's the worst. I mean, it's like the trifecta: Jimmy Carter, Obama, Barack Hussein Obama, and Joe Biden. It's like, who was the worst president? I guess it depends when you were of working class age, with Jimmy Carter and the gas and that whole, and then Obama with just destroying this country, destroying conservatives. Remember the IRS scandal? That's the other thing,
2011,
G.
2012. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, but Obama had no scandals, really. The gun running, the IRS, if I had
Benghazi.
Benghazi, yeah. Or if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon. No, if you had a son, he could look like me, as I've said before. You don't know when you have different parents, different cultures, you don't know what gene's going to pop out. So this isn't the first time. Do we need convictions here, G, so this stops?
I think the investigations itself will be enough that, well, okay, look, human nature is corrupt as it is. You go back to the Roman Empire. I just finished watching Colosseum. There's always corruption, right? But something like this, where you do an investigation, and let's say there is a conviction or two, that will make people pause once or twice and go, okay, maybe I don't want to go down this road, right? Kind of
Right.
like how DNA evidence has led to people going, well, maybe I shouldn't commit that crime because it's really easy to figure out who I am if I leave traces behind. Uh,
Right.
but there
Exactly.
will always be corruption. There will always be stuff like this, and maybe it will lessen the severity of it for a decade. I give it maybe 10 years.
Let's. I think I mean, I look at Paul Manafort. I look at that corrupt judge. probably doesn't have much longer to live, only because he was so old. Who, after the DOJ dropped the case, he kept trying to pursue it. The Letitia James. I could just rant all day, but let's move on here.
Yep.
We're going. So their call for their disbarment is real in terms of with Jack Smith, and he's blowing it off. He's blowing Jim Jordan off on coming to testify. I think they need to subpoena him. He tries to blow it off. Throw him in jail. Throw him. That will send a message to the next DOJ. You got my back? Sure we do. And that DOJ is gonna go, I'm not in if you don't have. And we found out that Mike Pence, he had a line with Peter Strzok or something along those lines. I just found out today reading an article. It's the whole system's corrupt because they don't want independent thinkers. Gee, we always talk about the education side before we move on to John Bolton. We always talk about the education side, people not being able to critically think, the indoctrination. But it's not just that goes all the way to the halls of the White House. They want presidents who will fall in line, toe the line to the Soroses of the world, and to the Elons of the world. Let's be fair about this. To the billionaires, and when I talk billionaires, I'm talking the billionaires, not the Mark Cubans, 5 or 6 billion, but the people who are worth 80, 90 billion, the ones who are calling the shots within the shadows. This isn't conspiracy theory. It's fact. There was a Rothschild who in the medieval times said, I don't care who's king. Whoever controls the money pipeline is one who's going to call the shot. Right. So before we go on, your final thoughts on Jack Smith not wanting to comply with Jim Jordan and what should happen to him?
Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. I think, if he's obviously not going to say he's guilty or whatnot. So I just hope that there are convictions that if they did something wrong, and I think they're going to hang on the whole. Well, we needed to find out who was part of J6, and that might convince some people. But I have a point on corruption and whoever's in power. I do remember when Obama was there. I mean, his reelection numbers were a lot less than his first election, right? 2012 was a lot less than 2008. And I think it was people realized that he is not the antithesis to George W. Bush. He was very much doing almost everything George W. Bush was doing, with the exception of Obamacare. And he was bombing more countries and actually expanding the war. And so, yeah, you're right. I think in the end, it doesn't really matter who the team mascot is, unless you have one who does act independently. Trump is one of those guys. Even
Yes,
a lot of establishment Republicans did not want him in there because they cannot control him.
Trump is a nut job in a fun way. Yeah. I mean, the guy, he brings up some great points. When they sat there and say your DOJ is going after him, Mar-a-Lago. Right. It's like, who's going after who? You idiot.
Yeah.
All right.
And then the mugshot, right? I mean, so I had to have a Christmas ornament with the mugshot on it. It hangs on my tree.
Well, let's be honest. That mugshot is a classic. It's so good. He kind of used a take of it for his portrait because it shows a man, a masculine man, unlike what AOC is probably married to, dates, or has all around her. We're not going to get into that, but with that town hall with Bernie Sanders, boy, that was like just a train wreck. And as Megyn Kelly said, why are you having a town hall? Is there a presidential race? No, that's how deep in CNN is for the left. Okay, John Bolton, indicted for mishandling classified info. October 16th, a day that will live in infamy for him. A federal grand jury in Maryland indicted him. He was Trump's former national security advisor, which never made sense to me. Even when Trump said you keep your enemies close. No. Why is he there? But anyway, they're alleging he shared over 1,000 pages of top secret SC1 level diary entries via AOL and Gmail. Woo! Talk about secure. With unauthorized relatives from 2018 to 2019. Hey, Grandpa, they say you're a spy. Yeah, what's your email? Forwarding 1,000. Yeah. So he faces up to 10 years per count. Where I'm angry at Kash Patel is they needed to treat him and Comey like they treated Roger Stone. kaboom. Your thoughts on this indictment?
Yeah, I I believe John Bolton said that this was already unclassified stuff. I don't know whether I'm talking in reference to his book, but I mean I think it's going to be hard to prove that he leaked classified material within the time frame that they're saying. At the same time, it just goes to show that these neocons, I mean, Trump is equal opportunity, right? I mean, this is a
Right,
Republican that he's going after. And I've been watching the
right.
Tucker Carlson series on the 9/11, what really happened. And there's some strong evidence that the CIA kind of knew something big was happening and they just kind of let it happen so they could go into war with Iraq
Yep.
and depose Saddam Hussein. And who's at the forefront of all that? John Bolton. He's a neocon. And so I
Yes.
believe it was 1999. He and I might have this wrong, but he might have signed on to this memo that says, okay, in order for us to successfully invade Iraq and get Saddam Hussein out of there, we need some kind of devastating event that serves as a pretext to go into war. And it goes back to the false flag thing I was saying earlier. John Bolton might have been right in the middle of all that. Who knows? I'm more interested in that than all this. Well, did he leak this or did he leak that, or is Trump trying to get back at him because he wrote his book?
Yeah, but gee, you're interested because that's what fascinates you.
Yeah,
The with stuff you're not interested, that's what's going to get him burned. Now,
yeah,
just to correct you a little bit, G, they can find out. Unlike the civilian world, oh, that was declassified last week. I don't know, Bob. When did we declassify it? They have strict records of when things are declassified or not. Now, here's the kicker. Here's the problem. So Bolton's attorney, Abe Lowell, longtime Democrat strategist. So that's what I think of you, Abe. And said the facts were resolved years ago and the diaries were unclassified and shared only with family. So that's what G's kind of alluding to. G's telling us he's on Abe's side. I'm
no,
kidding.
what
No,
I'm
he's not
saying is,
saying that.
okay, when something was declassified and became unclassified, right? But some guy could say, "Oh, he told me in 2022," like word of mouth. So
Right.
that's the issue that's going to be hard to prove. But he did. He might. I mean, there might be proof of something if he emailed someone.
Yes. Let me get to that here then. So in
Yeah,
2020, the book, he put a lot of this stuff in a book called The Room Where It Happened. I don't know if that's his coming of age story for a neocon, but U.S. District Judge Royce Lambert stated Bolton had, quote, gambled with the national security of the United States, unquote, by publishing it without final clearance. And I'm shocked that a publishing company did that. But the judge denied the government's request to block the book's release. He made it clear, G, that Bolton had exposed himself to civil and potentially criminal liability. And the ruling emphasized that failure to prevent publication did not preclude future prosecution. That just contradicts Bolton's attorney, Abe Lowell. So this is why I sat there and said they know when these dates, And here's the other kicker: even they can still get him on the fact he had it at his home, which is
right.
that's a big no, Senor Bolton.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
that's what Hillary was potentially going to get in trouble for, right? Having an email server in her home.
exactly. So your thought on that? Does that make you rethink your I'm a John Bolton supporter?
Did I say that? No, I'm not a John Bolton supporter. He has the worst mustache out there. And
I'm sorry. I heard it on a different podcast, and it's an ugly mustache, but that thickness is tough to grow. You got to put him on par with Tom Selleck, and I got to give Indians some kudos here. They get some nice looking beards in those movies I watch. I don't
this
know if
this
it's
is only
fake or
5 days. This is only 5 days. So, you
not.
know, we'll see in 4 weeks what this looks like. But no, I mean, I think if we can prove him guilty, let's prove him guilty, and he'll have to serve whatever punishment's coming his way. I don't think you can be that privy to that level of SCI intelligence that you just let it hang all over the place, basically.
Right. No, I get that. I get that. Uh, All right. Any final comments on Jack Smith or Bolton? Okay, well, let me ask you this. Let me put your cojones against the wall here. What do you think is going to happen with Jack Smith and John Bolton after this is said and done?
Well, I think they will go the way of the dodo bird. I mean, they're just going to go away and not be a force in Washington ever again. Especially John Bolton. I mean, what was he under Bush? He was uh, national security advisor or something like that. I mean, he was high up there, and
Right.
uh, so we don't need their influence. I mean, I don't know about Jack Smith, but John Bolton definitely thrived on the idea of war, and war is not a good thing. People people's lives are ruined, and Trump realizes that. He's ended basically 8 conflicts or prevented them from getting worse, and he might be on his way to number 9 with Ukraine and Russia here in the next week. So we need more people. And I'm going to blow a lot of people's minds, but we need more people like Trump who want to have peace in the world than John Bolton, who want to, fund the defense industries by blowing things up and killing people.
Yeah, people confuse that song. Remember that song from the 60s? War. I can't remember, but that was actually an anti-war
Good
song.
God, y'all.
Exactly. It's an anti-war song. But before I bring Miss Annette Ross on, who's going to join us tonight, let me give you my final take on this. So what if backing the wrong president got you secretly surveilled by your own government? Well, we've seen what's happened. Now, Jack Smith's team subpoenaed phone metadata from 9 GOP lawmakers. No warrants, no clear cause, just days around January 6th. And in essence, they told the phone companies, you don't give us this, you go to jail. Now, the backlash is erupting. Disbarment cause, well-deserved, and Trump enemies like John Bolton slapped with not 1, not 2, not 5, not 10, 18, thank you, Lord, felony counts. And now imagine this. Under Biden, the DOJ goes full political hit squad. Hawley and Graham. And Graham is kind of ironic because a guy believes in spying on everybody, but himself, it seems like we keep it fair here and we keep it straight. He's a Republican. I don't like him. But Hawley and Graham, they get swept into a metadata dragnet in what Grassley calls worse than Watergate. And let's give Grassley some kudos. He's been on this story for years. He's the one who got all this stuff subpoenaed and finally got it. But now the script flips against the progressives. With Pam Bondi in charge, the hammers dropping not only on Bolton, but James Comey and Letitia James, and probably her 2 relations that we found out one's on the run and the other one's not a good person. Charges are flying. The same system that once hunted conservatives, as in the Hunger Games, only political, is now coughing up its own secrets thanks to Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard. And this may just be the beginning, as Kash is saying, more is coming. The system they used to target Trump, it's now targeting them. But you know what the big difference is, my friends? The Trump DOJ has the evidence. Let's head on over to our next big topic. U.S. reinforces Israel-Hamas ceasefire with troop deployment and a fragile implementation. But let us bring on Miss Annette Ross to the fray here. Hey,
hello.
Annette. So, Annette, you just missed the big topic. Real quick, give us your thoughts on, before we get to the next topic, a mini lightning round here.
Oh, no.
Annette, your thoughts on, real quick, 30 seconds, your thoughts on John Bolton and Jack Smith. They want Jack Smith disbarred. Jack Smith is refusing to come and talk. And John Bolton, the walrus, 18 indictments. Each charge can carry up to 10 years. It's easy to prove if he's right or wrong. And the judge did warn him, you're leaving yourself up for possible prosecution. Your 2 thoughts on that.
You're going to hate what I'm going to say, William. Coming fresh off my human trafficking cocktail hour that I went to. I would just say that, why are we doing this? You know what I'm saying? It keeps on going round and round and round. We're prosecuting them, they're prosecuting us. We're prosecuting them, they're prosecuting us. I mean, you disagree? Sorry, you probably do.
I completely disagree. And here's why.
Let her finish her thoughts.
That's okay. That's okay.
It's the bully. The bully. How do you stop a bully in that?
You mean like when you punch it back in the face?
That's right, baby girl. That's right. See, I'm sorry. Somebody's going to go, you're such a male chauvinist calling her a baby girl.
That's okay.
Yeah, don't send your husband after me. But seriously, you're right. It's tit for tat. And in a perfect world, you're like, why are we doing this? We're going to rise above this. And let me be honest, that's what the Republican Party has done for the last 50 years. And that's why I believe we are in the state of America today. Because when you don't push back, a bully keeps pushing and pushing and pushing.
I just feel like that the midterms are coming up, and they would love to impeach Trump. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're just feeding the beast.
I don't think so. I mean, they say that
they impeach Trump, or they don't want to try. I just heard. Sorry, really quickly. I heard Eric Trump. He was on a talk show today, because he was talking about his book, and I didn't think I realized the extent to which they've gone after them, unrelenting. I mean, we're just, and so I just.
No. I agree with you. I just don't think it's going to have the same impact. Okay. I think Trump literally has most of the country allied with him. So. For example, we're not going to talk about it, but my good wannabe friend that I love to death, Mr. Harry Ensign at CNN, the story didn't make it past the auditors today, so we're not going to talk about it. That's me, But he was saying that, like in April, it was like 60 or 70% Democrats to gain on the midterms. It was like 18% Republican. Now it's like 36. Whatever the difference is, and they're gaining. Republicans are gaining, and I think the whole key to the midterms will be the economy and how that plays out. If the economy's booming, people be happy.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. Okay. So real quick, but you got a bully. Pow. Kapow, bam, poo.
I'm just not one for. I don't have any bloodlust, William. And I honestly probably have taken too much into heart my Christian of turning the other cheek. That's
whoa. Ain't you ever heard of the what were they called? The warriors in the medieval times? The Knight Templars? the Knight Templars? And just to let you know, see, that's what bugs me about Christians. That's just not in our heart. Really? Look at our history. We be killing a lot of people before we got too civilized.
No, I don't think those guys were real Christians. If you want,
no, they weren't. They had who rose up against the Muslim invasion of Europe. It wasn't. There was no Christian army. It was a Christian people, and even the Bible talks about it, the Old Testament, and nobody wants that. But my point is, if you don't push back, you will be conquered. That's not my opinion. That's history.
No. Well, I will just say, like I mentioned earlier, Trump won, term one. He decided to just go easy. I mean, he took let's let Hillary off the hook because I should throw her in jail or whatnot.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out very well for him because the Democrats kept coming after him.
Yeah.
Even after he was out of office, kept coming after him. You got the mugshot. You got Mar-a-Lago raided, kept coming after him. And now Trump's like, look, you did it to me. Now I'm going to do it to you. At least what I'm happy about is that it's for actual probable cause, right? It's actually things they actually did, wiretapping elected officials without their consent or knowledge or an order from a judge.
Exactly. And what's Hillary now saying? Now that she's seen all these indictments flying and she's at the heart, what's she saying? Anyone?
Hillary's saying Trump needs a Nobel Peace Prize.
Exactly. Yeah, she's like, give Trump the Nobel Peace Prize, man. Woo.
What's that Kermit the Frog? Like Trump's winning?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so real quick, the show's got to stay 2 hours. We're going to rush through, or I'm going to knock some of these segments out. But real quick, I had a whole show I just taped last night on Katie Porter. We're all Californians. Just get a little bit for a minute, some California flavor. I love me some Katie Porter.
Me too.
You know why? I love me some Katie Porter because she's the best medicine for Steve Hilton or Sheriff Chad Bianco. That woman, the mean girls go, oh. Your thoughts, G, on Katie Porter's self-destruction, because we had forgotten about all of that. And now it was like 10. My good friend, wannabe good friend, Harry Enton was like 10,000% trending up in searches for her last week. Your thoughts, G?
I had zero idea of who she was until I logged onto X a week ago, and then I saw the video with the woman in the back, right? And I'm like, oh wow, she's the word, the word that no woman wants to be called. I mean, that's what she is. I'm sorry, my camera went
There you
blurry
go.
there, but yeah, I mean, I think it's her own staffers who's pulling that footage out, saying, "Look, this is not a nice woman," and there's plenty of uh, people coming out to say that about Kamala. So, but she ran for president, so I don't know if it will affect Katie.
Oh, I don't know. She's dropping like, yup. Check out Fired Up California, episode 32, where I talk about it in her cratering Ponubos. And there is a new leader in the California race. Wait for it or watch the episode. Now, I'll tell you now. It is Steve Hilton. But there's so many undecided, so many things. It's probably temporary. But the point is this is a race. And and then I'll give my prediction and we're going to move on to Israel.
Oh, I was going to say,
is she your idol in that?
Katie Porter made my day because I haven't laughed that much in such a long time. I honestly couldn't even believe it when she was having, and then she's like, I'm done with this conversation. And she was giving all that attitude. And then she's mad about the staffer in the back, which I sort of understood, but like, you're getting a real idea of who this person actually is. And I don't know, just something about it I was so humored by, and I was so grateful to her for making me laugh. I mean, literally, it was to me some of the best moments of my week so far this week. I think it's going to hurt her. It's going to desperately hurt her. She looks like
could have fixed it.
She looks like a horrible person, though. G. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think she could have fixed it if she had just said, "You know what? I was having a bad day, and I did that, and I was super mean. I'm sorry."
Oh, yeah. G. Her apology was pathetic.
Yeah.
It was so
why are you being so mean to a fellow woman?
No, it's not, because it wasn't real. It wasn't authentic. She would have done better, as G said. Any authentic move after that would have been like, you know what? I was just really annoyed. She could even double down on that, and she would have been better.
So here's what I believe is going to happen. First of all, there is no really saving her. She's got to hope there's enough blue votes that can just go, I don't care about these people. But there's no saving her. There's no apology, because most of the time when we hear these scandals, oh, George Bush got a DUI, oh, Obama was in the alleyway with old Charlie over there. There's no evidence. You just hear about these stories. Oh, Bill Clinton and this, you hear about it. With her, we see it. And we see how terrible. And she's, what's the word? I just kept saying psycho, and I should have looked it up. But there's a word.
Unhinged?
No. There's a word that the therapist actually used, but where she's like, "Hey, how you doing?" Histrionic? Hey, how you doing? That's her. She's just talking. No, that's not it. If you said it, I know it. But she's just talking to the. How you doing? It's like it's she just can flip a switch and lose it, then go back to her normal face. And so here's what I believe is going to happen, but I got to get Annette's female thought process here. I grew up with 3 women. I was single. I was a Latino. I had my fun. So I have a point to make on this. But I believe if she can't pick up and begin to take a 5 to 10 point lead, and this race heats up and gets closer, filing deadline is sometime in March, maybe the second week in March, I believe. If right around January, during the winter, they're going to have talks. The Democrat Party will huddle. And if she can't sit there and create some separation or show she can be the next governor, they won't officially give her the boot. They're going to bring somebody in. And that's what I believe will happen. So she's got a window. The timer is counting down. And because it's not just that. She's throwing the hot mashed potatoes on her husband, abuse, it just aligned. She was forced to go to anger management, hey, and if anger management worked, God, what was she before? So it's just an avalanche. And then when they asked her, well, is there more video out there? No answer. So Annette, here's my take. When I saw her at that interview, I was like, my God, woman, It's making you look terrible. This is what I say about men. You got to look dignified, handsome, be able to know how to speak. She looked like a pudgy, middle-aged woman nobody likes. She looked like a mean version of Gladys from Bewitched from the 60s. Look it up, And so she comes across not only as mean, vile in many ways, but also unattractive. And she doesn't help herself. And if I'm her campaign manager, I go, woman, let's sit down and talk. And maybe that's the gay in me coming out. I'm not gay, people, but you know what I'm saying. And I think that's important in today's era. And to the women, in your defense, you guys have higher standards that society puts on you. That's unfair. I mean, we can have our beard good and all. We look good. I look good. A woman doesn't have that luxury. Your thoughts, Annette? Am I barking up the wrong tree, or is there some truth to my wise wisdom from 40 years?
Oh, no, there's a ton of truth to it. I mean, but also I think it would have helped her if she seemed more polished. You know what I mean? Even maybe a little bit more gentle, more feminine. Sorry. I think seriously. Well, after what she did.
No, I'm not laughing at that.
She's going to show an opposing side. I think that I think people appreciate a woman who's tough and who's strong. I do, especially in a leadership position like she would be in as governor. So I think she's shown us she's got a really gnarly side and a really nasty side. But I mean, I do think a woman will go a lot farther if she does have those other things you're talking about, is attractive, or is at least really put together nicely, knows how to dress, you know what I mean? Has a sense of style, has a sense of humor, anything endearing or charming at this point would be great for her.
She got style. Pow, pow, pow,
yeah, right.
Yeah, but none of that matters because, as she said, I'm a leader. If you got to say you're a leader, you got to rethink your leadership ability. And she has a very high turnover rate of her staff. Her AOC, there's a pattern here with today's womanhood. And I'm not knocking it. What I'm saying is it's even worse for guys. Guys don't know how to speak to women, how to communicate. And AOC's world, she wants a feminized guy. Women, on the other hand, they think they're a 200-pound man who's a woman. They think they're a 200-pound man who can say or do whatever they want to a man. So we're digressing from being able to communicate, to love one another. And I think you're seeing it. Our birth rates are going down. Our marriage is going down. Relationships, they exist, but compared to 100 years ago, they're non-existent because, I jokingly say this. If I was single, I'd be in bed every day because it seems like the Tinder's just swipe right, sexual gratification, not a relationship. And even as a young man, I realized, man, there came a point I wanted a relationship. I go, you're hot. I had a girl my friends called her the Baywatch girl. And then a few weeks later, where's your Baywatch? I dumped her because I couldn't talk to her. I couldn't communicate to her. And they couldn't realize, no, man, that's just not true. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying eventually we want a relationship. G, you get the last word here unless Annette wants to give her 2 cents again. We got to get moving.
Going back to this whole idea of that, women do have it hard, right? They can't come across too strong and bossy. Otherwise, they're the B.
Yeah.
Or they can't come across, and that's Katie. I'm not going to say it.
I know.
This is YouTube. This is child friendly. But so that's Katie Porter and Hillary Clinton, right? Remember Hillary Clinton? Why am I not 50 points ahead? And basket of deplorables and all that. But then you had the other side, which I think in private, Kamala Harris is like that. But then she was trying to be this like bubbly, almost airheadish, word salady person. It's like, nobody wants that. Just ask her a question and then she goes on for 5 minutes and doesn't answer the question. My head hurts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think someone who almost has it dialed in correctly. There's two. I'll say there's two that come off the top of my head. Who ran in the
it's coming off the top of my head.
No. She ran Nikki Haley. She has it dialed in perfectly, right? She can come across like straight, strong, and not too soft, not too hard, right?
Right.
AOC almost has it dialed in. She actually has it dialed in a little bit too much on the Kamala side, but she's very likable, except for her, Leninist, Stalinist tendencies, and that she actually would be a dictator. I think so.
Yeah,
Can
yeah,
I just
No.
yeah.
ask you guys one quick question, though, really quickly? I got it, William and Jim. Got to get your thought. Kamala, especially on her book tour, I honestly think. Do you think she's on something? She just seems like she could be taking some prescription.
I know. No. I know you said
The
book
whiskey.
tour, but it's like something else. I'm like, that's Kamala. Yeah.
Doesn't she seem a little bit off?
Well,
I
they
don't know if
always
she's a gin girl or tequila, but she's
exactly. They always. I just think she's just dumb. I think she's
She was a prosecutor, right? I mean, she was a
Well, okay, I don't think she's dumb. I think what she is she doesn't believe in herself, and she has a self-doubt, which I've read a lot about, that she does have a lot of self-doubt. So she soothes that with alcohol or some kind of something before she goes on stage
Yeah.
to stop that. But apparently, she either sometimes takes not enough or too much.
no.
I don't think she's dialed that in right either.
I think she's dumb. Not dumb in the sense that she doesn't know her way, but she's not quick. She's not politically smart. She's not politically savvy. She has crafted to get ahead in life. Her image is everything. It's everything. And how did she get? They don't call her Horizontal Harris for no reason. That's truth. There's legitimacy.
Oh, boy.
And it was based. No, it's true. It was based. That's the first thing I learned about was about Horizontal Harris and her move up, because I said, boy, Obama's right. She's a pretty good looking woman there. In terms of when he came over here and complimented her, that became a topic. And then they told me the story of her rise to power. So, and my point is this: her image is everything, and she can't let that go. Her word salads are a combination of her being, as G said, insecure, not knowing the actual correct answer or the policy she believes in. So she just spews nonsense. It's kind of like in high school or even in college when there's that discussion question and you don't really know the answer. So when you turn in that one discussion question that should be like this, it's a couple of sheets of paper. You're hoping that somewhere in there you got the right answer. That is Kamala. And with that is
America's the beauty pageant back in 2007. Remember, they asked her about Iraq, or they can't place Iraq on a map. You guys don't remember that?
No.
Oh.
She goes, Iraq. I know where my rack is. No, the country. The country. The country.
Word there, William.
That's her whole shtick. Anyway, let us move on. Israel. God, we are way over. Yeah. Okay, so Israel. So we are sending 200 troops. First of all, there's peace is supposedly coming to Israel. I will align with the Democrats on this. I love what Trump has done. He deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. We're going to talk about that here in a few. But we've seen this story unfold before. We are still in chapter. Right now, we're still in the middle of the book. Right now, we're getting ready to enter Act 2. But we are sending 200 troops to Israel, not Gaza. The roles include monitoring, aid, logistics, stabilization, no direct combat involvement. The ceasefire is 1 week in, and phase 2 is teetering a little bit, in my opinion. But it includes Hamas disarmament and governance reforms, and stalling, which is maybe happening here or there, could reignite the violence. So what are some of the key points to remind the audience? October 13th, the hostage and prisoner exchange. Hamas released 20 remaining living Israeli hostages. They're not releasing all of the dead. Now they're coming up with excuses. I kind of believe them. Oh, we don't know where they're at, or this or that, or too hard. But that was an agreement. We want the dead bodies too. And they agreed to that. So they're the first ones to actually break the agreement. But they did release all the live ones, and they were obligated to return all 28 deceased hostages, and only 9 have been returned. Your thoughts, real quick, on the American presence, and let me put this caveat: every interdiction we had in the 50s, Korea, Vietnam, literally every Chile, even though we weren't involved, we've always had advisors. This is how it starts. Advisors who don't do nothing. Then the next step. So that's my concern here. Not that, so your thoughts on that. And then,
well, you're going to love this, William, because I watched a really great talk with Jeffrey Sachs going through the 20 points of this peace process, which he has absolutely no faith in whatsoever. And I'm sorry. Well, I think I'm smart enough to know when people are smarter than me, so I'll at least give myself that credit. Um, and why is that? Because, like you said, we're basically on page one, and I think he understands that these are people who deeply hate each other. I mean, maybe there's this economic interest or whatever, but numbers 9 and 10 basically is, and if he read them, it sounded like it's colonialism. They're bringing Tony Blair in, and we're gonna and Trump, and they're going to be on this committee, and they're going to be rebuilding Gaza, and it sounded like something from a long time ago, a form of colonialism that has existed that obviously people didn't like and doesn't exist anymore. But that's what it sounded like, and he made a really compelling case regarding that. So I wonder what you guys think about that. Do I think that these people are going to be able to remain peaceful? No way, because I even know history enough to know that they don't like each other. Then they, in fact, hate each other.
No. Let me correct you on that.
Okay.
Israel can exist with Hamas or Palestinians, but there's enough Palestinians we've seen for the last 30 years, the video of how they raised their children immediately to look at Jews as nothing but
indoctrinate them. That's
exactly
correct.
So Israel can maintain the peace. It's Hamas. Tens of millions have been sent as aid, the hospital for schools, all that. What do they do with it? They destroy the infrastructure, build tunnels.
That's right. I'm not saying that. I'm
this
saying
was just a piece. No. You're right. But I'm just saying Israel can have peace.
The Jewish people going to change.
Right, exactly. And that's why I think you're seeing this. We're going to go in and run the show for a little while. G, your thoughts?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have a different take on it. I think this will be great for Trump during his term, right? And even while they're signing it, he goes, "Wow, this has never been done for 3,000 years, guys. 3,000 years." It's like, okay, come on, man. Like, think about what you're saying, because 3,000 years they haven't been able to settle it, and now you're gonna come in and give the solution. Like, here's what really happened, right? Netanyahu bombed the living heck out of them, that they have no choice but to accept anything that gives a dot. I'm pro-Israel, right? I'm not this like, hey, let's Hamas is equally justified in the eyes of God. No, Hamas is evil, right? But Netanyahu went in there and destroyed them, and is still was still going in there and
eviscerated them. Yes, G, I'm with you. Go ahead. Sorry.
So what are they going to say? Like, like, at this point, they got no running water, they've got no food, and Trump's coming in there saying, "We're going to help you rebuild, but you need to stop your terrorist bombings, and Netanyahu, you need to stop going in there and killing people." Of course, they're both going to accept that, and Netanyahu gets his hostages back, and I think we'll be fine for 4, 5, 6 years until they rebuild, right? And it's all going to be under the covers, and then they're going to like come back and say, "Hey, we're going to start bombing the Americans who are now patrolling our streets."
That's
in front
why
of Trump
you have
Tower.
This whole peace plan. That's why you have this whole peace plan with Trump sitting on the board. Tony Blair, I think, will be out before it's all said and done. He's not very.
So
well
let me address the colonial part. Like, so I think a lot of people are in these other countries, and my ancestors are from one of these countries. They are driven to terrorism because they see the unequal funneling of funds to the top, right? You look at some of these countries, and it's like the upper crust are super rich and everyone else is dirt poor, right? And so, and I'm a capitalist, but they got a system in place where like no one can succeed. There's no free market. So,
well, hold on though, G. You're saying that's what they have right now.
That's what they have right now. But if Trump
with
and
all
Tony
the
Blair,
Hamas, all these people, they're the ones. And I think we're not seeing it anywhere in the news, but I've studied this enough. I saw it somewhat in Panama with Noriega. The people live in fear, but even Hamas leadership knows that their people are on the brink, and they will be hunted sooner than later at this point. And we're not going to input colonialism like it was done in the past. What they're going to do is come in, because let's take India, let's take Panama, two countries that people who sit there and claim colonialism, I'm not going to argue the point. But what the Brits did in India, they built infrastructure, they built buildings, they built government, they built constitution, they built a way of life that the Indians took over. And in my country, Panama, it was all there. It took 20 years for the water infrastructure to fall apart because Noriega refused to put a dime into it. And that's what I think they're going to bring into Gaza without Hamas leadership,
Yeah.
And
That was the point I was getting to. Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. And it's like if you gentrify the area enough that now they have a chance at succeeding and having some wealth, I think they'll stop bombing people, right? So, yeah, it's to your point.
I
I'm
think
not
they
Even
got to
sure a
get.
big
even
Trump tower right in the middle of Gaza is a good idea, but a
no,
bunch
I
of Starbucks.
that's a super interesting point, G and William, that then they're going to have something, and having something you don't know. It's like when you don't have anything, you've got nothing to lose. But just let me ask you this question though. For the people the zealots or the people that lost their parents, aren't they just going to want to come back angry and fighting?
It depends on how well this works, because that's so. Take Germany. We did nothing to help Germany after World War One, and what was the result?
Yeah, World
We
War
did.
II.
Yeah, we did everything to help Germany rebuild. So there's various ways to do it. That this is the world is not black and white, but I think unless we get into their school systems, and I'm not talking about changing Islam or anything like that, but stop forcing feeding these kids that Jews are cockroaches, that Jews are evil, that they're this, that they're that. Because I have seen too many videos of kids 2-3 years old, and I saw it here with the black child too, towards a cop. Hate is in every culture, every religion, every race, and the hatred towards Jews that Hamas and Palestinians has needs to end. And as G said, that's a tough task, 3,000 years. And you also have Iran. If Iran was not feeding all these people, the terrorists, people forget Lebanon was like Las Vegas of the Mideast back in the 50s. Iran was becoming a metropolitan type area, So I am a God-fearing person, but fundamentalism that turns into radicalism is the danger that they're facing. So they've got to get rid of that. And to me, and I'm not saying go take out the Khomeini or anything like that, because I don't know what to do. But until you solve that Iran problem with Khomeini and his old lineage there, this, as G said, is going to repeat itself. Now, what they love talking about, Israel's done this, Israel's done that. And I'm like, I'm pro-Israel. Shouldn't have bonded him. You shouldn't be hiding behind kids. You shouldn't be hiding behind public schools, behind hospitals, because war is hell. Nobody wants war. The annals of time has shown us how devastating war is. It's always the safe white suburban idiot who talks about this, that. Well, let me go beat your kid. Let me go destroy your kid. Let me rape your kid. Let me drag your kid through the streets. And then you tell me how you feel about war. It's easy to sit on your perch and be judge and jury. And my whole point in this is, that's all you heard about. Well, Jews this, Israel this. Oh, I love Jews. I hate Israel. Well, if you hate Israel, you hate Jews. Because I don't care what people say. They're one and the same, you morons. But my point is this. My long-winded way is they're killing Palestinians now. Hamas is openly. You don't see anybody wanting to talk about that. Now, Trump was like, I don't care, whatever they do, because, he doesn't have any love. But he got backlash, as he should have. And they're slowing down because Trump said, y'all better stop the killing or else. But real quick, your thoughts on the fact that they're not reporting on this. They're not showing this. And this is, to me, why it's one-sided. And this is what emboldens Hamas. Well, they're not going to hold us accountable. We're going to keep doing it. Here comes the Trump that hit the bully in the nose. Your thoughts on that?
I couldn't believe it. And why is I did hear about that today. Why is not that all over the news? That they're just like mass killing them when they're in lines and they're already in this like desperately starved situation. Well, maybe not starved, but yeah, that's just not, in anything that I've watched about this conflict, they're having a very, very rough time. The kids, the families, you know what I mean? It is a horrible, horrible state that they're living in at the moment. So to hear that these, I don't know what to call them, evil people would be just randomly killing them, just massacring them. Why isn't that on the page every single time I turn and see?
Well, hold on. You know why, Annette. Tell us why. Why isn't it?
Because it's just, I don't know.
It
It
doesn't
doesn't
feed
fit
the
their narrative. It doesn't fit
That's
their narrative.
right.
It doesn't
That's
fit their narrative.
that's the only answer, and that's
That-
the correct answer.
Thank you.
Mr.
Oh,
G
I
Man.
win. Bingo.
Yeah. Mr. G Man, 62% view the Hamas crackdown as a threat to truth. And Trump's Mideast approval has risen to nearly 60% because of the ceasefire. Does it really matter that it's 62% if we're not holding them accountable?
No, I mean that approval rating will go down if this doesn't hold, at least for its term, right? Again, there's
No, no,
no
no.
permanent
I'm talking about
solution.
Hamas.
Yeah.
Does it matter that 62% view Hamas? You shouldn't be killing your people. I mean, you would think that would
Oh,
affect
yeah.
Hamas, but if nobody's
Yeah.
holding them accountable, does it even matter?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, how do you hold them accountable? But what's Trump going to do? Send in American troops? Like that's not a solution. Is he going to say Netanyahu go to town again? No. That I mean, at some point, let's say World War II, right? Let's use this as an example. The Soviets get into Berlin and they keep pounding Berlin for 6 months instead of 2 weeks. And at some point, it's like Stalin. I mean, haven't you had enough, right? And so you can still be pro-Israel and go, maybe you've gone too far. They've given you hostages back, so there's no enforcing this. Uh, I mean, I think the only solution is let them have a chance at joining the rest of the world in the world economy. In the world economy, if you're making money, you don't want to endanger that.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, unless they take Hamas out, it's just China, and not China and what they built up. But people kept saying, well, let China join the WTO and they'll learn what democracy is and we'll win the day. I mean, even at that age, it was like, are y'all idiots? No, they're just going to use capitalism to enrich themselves as communists, which is what they've done. So I think these Hamas people, these Hamas terrorists who are doing this, see, this is the danger of having gatekeepers, where Israel, you're on the sideline, Hamas, you're on the sideline. If somebody plays bad, the gatekeeper has to come in to make the peace. And if they're killing people, the only way you got to go in and you got to get these people. Well, no, that's not how it works. Actually, that is how it works, because if not, they're going to keep killing people.
But William, are they doing that to bait us back into war? So it looks like we break the treaty?
No, they're doing that because they hate anything that's touched Israel, anything that's been part of the Jewish. And these guys were prisoners, so they view them as contaminated vermin. That's how some of them think, and it's sad but true. Now, some of them just may be evil people who hate and just want to kill. We are like animals. That dog's
love to say that we're not. We're civilized.
No, we have the capacity to be civilized.
Okay.
Well, we are like animals. So do you call Hitler with 6 million Jews civilized? No, the animal came out in him.
That's true, but that's rare. Thank God. That's not the way most people behave.
Not really, because look at it this way. This is what I tell people. Well, the corporation this, corporation that. They're evil. They steal. They do this. I go, let me check your kid's iPod. Why? I want to see how many songs he's downloaded illegally from Napster. If we're civilized, we shouldn't be doing that. We should be. Your thought process is the very libertarian. I want to believe it, but it's not true. We all have this innateness built into where if I don't have to pay for that, I'll take it. But you should pay for it. It's the right thing to do. What I'm saying is, that just escalates. Hitler was the leader of Germany. He went to genocide. Your kid went to Napster.
But we all have the other part too, William. We all have the part in us also that is innately good.
But I'm not arguing that, Annette.
We get to choose, though. We get to choose.
And that's my point. You're making the assumption we all choose good. No, a lot of people choose bad.
Well, everyone has a line, right?
So, exactly, geez,
right.
Right.
And you're the one who dated yourself with Napster, which has not been around for 20 years now.
No, Napster is still around.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Napster's still around.
But I think most of us many of us, I don't even, I want to say most, but view downloading a song for free and save $1. Okay, well, that's just because I was just
giving a sarcastic
No, I know you're giving an
answer.
example,
That's
right? But that's
true.
just a line, right? That's a line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what's the line? Hitler's line was 6 million. Mao's line was 100 million or 60 million. Hamas's line is they want to keep going. And keep going. Now, before we move on to Trump, and then I want to close the show out there, but there was an interesting quote. Let me find it here. Terrorists won this round. Deals with killers invite worse harm ahead. Unquote. I believe that. I look back at since the 60s. They fight, they make a truce, then Hamas or whatever terrorists at that moment in time regroups and come back anywhere from 8 to 10 to 15 years later, and it repeats itself. You have to destroy your enemy, and not the people, but the enemy. And the enemy is Hamas. As Jared Kushner sat there said, we want peace with the Palestinian people, but not with Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist group, or something along those lines, saying we want peace in this region, but Hamas has got to go. And that to me is that's what will happen. And G said it earlier in so many words. It's you allow them to regroup. You got look, people. Maybe it's because I saw two dictators. Maybe because I read and study history. If we don't learn from it, it's going to repeat yourself. You let the bad guys, like Israel, will release hundreds of terrorists to get one Israeli back because they value the sanctity of their fellow Jew more so than any other culture does their own. And but these people come back. If I'm correct, this guy who did the October massacre had been somebody who'd been released. I mean, they've got tales upon tales. They release them, they come back and they do something just as bad. You got to take him out. And I'm not condoning that. I'm just giving you guys a lesson of history. The successful people who have gone to war have taken the enemy out and they have rebuilt the people. And so real quick then, let's get on over to Trump. So I want to defend the Nobel Peace Prize announcement only from one angle. You have to have your nominations in by January. So Trump not getting the Nobel Peace Prize was not viable. However, I think he should be a lock for it next year. And Trump wants it. And they make fun of him, but so did Clinton. And Obama got it for being a certain race. That was it. That was why he got it. He gave a speech. Oh, we like it. Did nothing. And we're giving him this award here because we think he's going to do good things. He's such a great man. Blah, 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 blah. Tens of thousands of deaths, killing an American citizen, killing some people at a wedding. Benghazi, the gun running.
He started bombing a bunch of countries on I think right before
26,000 bombings. 26,000 bombings during his term. But my point is this. Is Trump deserves it. 8 wars. Now, I'm not going to quibble over are they completely done or not, but he's brought peace and stability, at least for the moment. 8 times. They gave it to a loser. I don't mean loser as she's a loser as a person, but she lost an election. But I'm fighting for what's right in Venezuela. You can give it to anybody who's lost an election in any dictatorship across the world. I think they were purposely snubbing him. And in her defense, her name is Maria Corina Machado. She was a Venezuelan opposition leader. She lost. She has anti-dictatorship activism. So do I. So do you. So do you. It's my point is, what have you changed, Maria? But God bless her. She said if it wasn't for Trump, I wouldn't have gotten this or something like that. But real quick, Israel, Hamas, obviously the big one. Israel, Iran, he stopped that. India, Pakistan, G's homeland there. That got stopped before it really got started after that one terrorist attack. Serbia, Kosovo, Cambodia, Thailand, Rwanda, Democratic Republic of Congo. They came out and said he secured peace. Armenia, Azerbaijan, Egypt, Ethiopia. I saw you laughing at that. I meant that G's Indian. That's what saying his homeland. Panama's my homeland. White suburbia is your homeland, huh? I'm kidding. I'm having fun tonight. Yeah.
This land is my land. This land is your land.
We'll start out with G. Your thoughts on Trump's done all this and nobody wants to give him credit.
No, of course they don't. And look, I don't know who these people in Europe are who host this group. I watched the whole. So the guy who started the Nobel Peace Prize, he was the one who invented dynamite, TNT, and weapons of war for the Civil War. And I just watched the thing on Veritasium on YouTube. And the whole time, I think it was a 45-minute video, 30 some odd minutes of it, he doesn't even say anything. His last name is Nobel. And I'm wondering oh, wow, I wonder if he used Nobel Science Prize or whatever. No, he was the one who said, I was tired of making weapons of war and killing so many people that I just wanted to do something that was beneficial to peace, right? And so then you look at, well, who did that the most for this year? Obviously, that's Trump. So they need to come up with a mechanism that, hey, look, if the submission isn't in by January, maybe we can have some kind of mechanism to go, okay, well, this guy clearly stands out. So, let's just choose that guy instead, right? So I will give them the benefit of the doubt, and just say, okay, well, maybe they will do it next year because clearly there's nobody who has saved more lives in this 1 year than Donald J. Trump. Period.
Exactly. Your thoughts on that?
I mean, I agree with everything G said. I honestly just wish that he didn't want it so badly. And I think that the one thing about Trump, he did have that one really interesting and introspective moment. I'm sure you guys saw that clip when he was on Air Force One. He's like, I don't know if I'm getting to heaven. Did you guys see that?
Well, I think that was a very Christian value to be self-deprecating and not fun. But he was half joking on that.
No, he was being self-deprecating, but I appreciated that he just said it because, I think as someone who's really a Christian, we know that we all fall so short of, the glory of God, and we all need his mercy.
Oh, no, you're right. Yes.
So
yes.
I guess I appreciated him saying that. And I guess I just wish Trump, at times, I wish he showed that humility more. I think he totally deserves it. I just wish he didn't want it. You just do something for the sake of doing it because it's right. And maybe that award comes. He's worthy of it. He deserves it. I totally agree with everything G said. But I'm just saying, either way, you know what I mean? He did what he believed was best for the most people. And God bless him for that.
See, I don't think it matters that he wants it. Go ahead, G.
I was just going to say, did you see the speech that Erica Kirk gave at the Rose Garden? And she turned around and said, we've been praying for our enemies, and turned around to Trump. And he kind of like laughed and shook his head because remember he said that he's not like them. He doesn't pray for his enemies.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want, right? So I self-deprecating, but I think he's honest too. Like he's like, that's just not me.
Right.
Exactly.
Because he knows Erica Kirk is working on him.
Yeah. See, this is why I disagree with people who look at him that way, is because his actions. You can to rise to the level of what Trump has. There's a little psycho in everybody. You're a little out there in your ego, this or that, but your actions dictate. He's not a warmonger. He ended ISIS. He doesn't wish peace on his enemies because they're his enemies, and he understands you have to destroy your enemies to create peace through the people once your enemy is destroyed. And so that's who I want as my president. But there's no doubt his compassion. He's shown that over and over. And nobody talks about he can be ruthless, but he's a human being. But when push comes to shove on this national stage, at this stage in his life, he's doing all the right things. So if he wants it, I'm like, you've earned it. In fact, they said Obama used to joke around because he knew he didn't deserve it, and they just gave it to him. And to me, that at that moment, it's kind of like Nobel Peace Prize is useless. And we see it even now. Now it's so political. Nobel would be like, what have you guys done to my war? He would go to that committee and go, here, hold this stick of dynamite, please. But I mean, that's how corrupt that has gone. And God bless Trump. And you're right, Annette. I look at Trump when he did that. I'm like, that's how I am. That's how my wife is when it comes to Christianity. I'm like, I'm not worthy. I just hope when I meet my maker, he goes, boy, William, you're a real, I can't say the word, but you never never did anybody wrong. That's all I can hope for, that he can find us worthy. I think part of the problem with Christianity today is this new age Christianity. That's why I've never, again, I don't want to get into the Catholic fight. That's why I've never agreed with, I find God. Well, you just killed 30 million people. You're going to die here in a few minutes. And now you find God thinking that's going to get you into heaven. So I've always had issue with that. But I believe we live in a new world where all you have to do is say, I believe in God, or do one nice thing. And you're like, hey, I'm good. I'm heading on up. No, that's not what it's about. Right. It's an everyday process. It's a matter of how you treat people. And the reason I align with Trump is because you guys hear me. I can be just as vile and despicable towards our enemies. But I never go after somebody. We're always reacting. And that's why I'm like, you got to punch him back. I don't want to go pick a fight with anyone. Last week, or I don't know if it was this podcast or another one. I think it was last week when I told the individual on the religious side, hey, look, the politicians represent everybody. Live your life as you do. My issue is when you start dictating and lying to parents, hiding things from them, trying to trick the kid into thinking he's something he's not, or she's something she's not. That's when I have issues. But heck, if you're gay, you're transgender, God bless you. If you're of that mindset, then that's a life. But don't be pushing it on people. And so I can align with Trump that way. It's like what Trump said to the Hamas. Y'all need to stop that, or else. It's like a parent, that I guess what I'm trying to say is my issue with society today. There's no tough love. You want to be a good parent, you got to know when to say no to your kid. And in the last 2 generations, I don't really see a lot of that. I see more rationalization as to why your kid's an idiot, as to why your kid acts like little Johnny. My kid's not little Johnny. That's William Pilar's kid down the road. At the same time, William Pilar's kid is buying the weed from your kid. It's like so we need more self-reflection. And I believe we've lost our way with godliness, because that brings that self-reflection, because we are not worthy and we strive to be worthy. Anyway, any final words before we close the show out into the audience? There'll be a hot takes episode to get the rest of the stuff in, but we're at an hour and 16 minutes here. Gee, any last words about Trump? Hold on. Real quick, guys, to finish off the topic about the Nobel Peace Prize, 54% say Trump's undeserving of it. To me, that's an uneducated a group of people. So if he is, I don't know. Final words, G, on tonight's show.
No, I think we'll see what happens. I think the one thought I had was Constantine, Roman emperor. He did a lot of evil stuff in his life, and then near the end, he did declare Jesus as Lord. So I think, a lot of people, like you said, the New Age Christianity, people will just use that as an excuse, as on their way out. They're like, okay, well, this is what I understand, and now I don't have to, I can just get by with just saying that. But that's not true faith, right? That's a convenient faith, and I don't think that's enough.
Exactly.
So I think Erica Kirk is working on Trump to go. Yeah. You have true faith. There's the seed of it in him, and it will blossom. I think that's her hope. So that's just my thought on the last little segment here.
Señorita Annette.
I obviously think that if there's a God, and I believe there is a God, he can't be tricked anyway. He knows our hearts. So someone who might declare, well, yeah, I killed 30 million people, but that was yesterday, hasn't maybe had a true conversion of the heart, which only God would know, the human heart and the soul. So I guess I was just saying, back to Trump, I like the part of him that can be some self-reflective. I know he has to be tough, William. I know that he's got a real past he probably has to contend with. And I think, honestly, I see a man in Trump that at times is very conflicted. And as I think we've also seen him grow from one presidency to the next. And the growth that I feel like I'm seeing in him, I appreciate. And so
I agree. I agree with all those takes. It's that's just pretty funny. Yeah, I cut 30 million, but that was yesterday.
Got my application in on Death Day.
yeah, exactly. And that's our show, my friends. Before we go, make sure you hit like, thumbs up, and share this podcast. And to give a forewarning, and I will market it and advertise it, we are going to be moving to Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Sorry, I ruled the roost. I kind of made that decision. Fridays, are great nights for podcasting, actually. But I want to test out Thursday, test out a few time slots. But make sure, people, you bookmark grumblingsmedia.com. Follow us on YouTube, Rumble, Apple, and Spotify under the profile handle Grumblings Media. Until next week, my friends, I am William del Pilar for G. Mangani, the G-Man, and Ms. Annette Ross. And this has been Fired Up. Stay safe and